Hi guys, today we're going to be making sure that you can enjoy your festivities and not have a lot of things to worry about around the waistline after that. So today we're going to show you how to do an excellent salad, one that's going to taste yummy, but more importantly, it's going to help to balance out the turkey, the stuffing, the ham, the sweet potato pie, the pumpkin pie, and all the other things that we're going to probably overindulge in. So stay tuned. Welcome back. Today we're going to be making a fabulous salad to make sure that we can incorporate this into our holiday festivities, our holiday eating. And so I decided to bring everything in so that we can see that in way less than an hour we can put together something really good that's going to include all of the things that we need to make sure that we can balance out those things that we ate, but more importantly, this isn't just about the festivities or the holidays. You want to try and eat a salad every day, especially a raw salad. A raw salad before partaking in cooked foods is simply going to help be able to break down a lot of the things in the cooked food that take a longer time to get out of the body. You have a lot of maltic acid and a lot of fruits and vegetables. You have great levels of calcium, anti-aging things like zinc, all of your minerals, zinc, your vitamins, vitamin A and C, all of those are in abundance in the types of foods that we're going to select for our salad. The very first thing that we're going to start with, so we're going to start with our heavy ingredients because we're going to douse them all into this large salad bowl. And so I've kind of pre-done some things for you, but I wanted you to see that it's not that difficult to just have all of this in your home, in your refrigerator, in your kitchen, and be able to throw this together in little or no time at all. I simply took the skins off of the onions. You always want to use red onions simply because red onions or yellow onions, the amount of allicin that's in the onions, is the sulfur content is just for healing properties. So we pair onions and garlic in the same category in terms of nutrition, healing, and it's just undeniable that all of the countries that eat garlic, fresh garlic and fresh onions in their food on a regular basis have little or no incidences of cancer. And so for no other reason, that's what you want to do. But for the taste as well, I use red onions because they have a really nice taste to them. And as you can see, it's just not that difficult to chop an onion up in like 10 seconds or so. So that was 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, catch up, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And that way you have nice chunks of it, not too small. You don't want to get into over processing things. A lot of people will use the food processors. Sure, if you don't have time, that's one way that you can do it. But for me, I think that just having my hands touch the vegetables, going through the motions of chopping, getting the watery, teary-eyed, is good for you. It's a part of aromatherapy. So we all know the value of aromatherapy when you're smelling herbs and essential oils and what it does to calm and soothe the body. You can have the same thing happen when you're doing your kitchen chopping of natural, whole, pure food. So that's our onion in like 2 seconds. Brought the garlic so that you can see what you want to get in the habit of doing is not getting things that are already pre-cut, pre-diced and chopped that you'll find a lot of times with the garlic. Because once you start to cut things open, then you start to lose a lot of the value, but not all of it, especially in something like garlic. It's just way too strong to be devoid of anything just because it's been exposed to a little air. There are all kinds of gadgets now where you can simply stick the garlic into a little rubber thingy. I have one at home. I should have brought it. And with garlic, you have mincers as well where you can really mince it up so it's less than bite size, way less than bite size. But you can also just chop things and then begin to, after you begin to chop, you just continue to roll them on top of each other. Too bad we don't have a rolling camera here. But you just keep pushing them on top of each other. And then that way, you've got plenty of minced garlic. I'm going to throw that in with the red onions. Then we just kind of want to get our chopping things out of the way. And then we're just going to toss all of that together. So we talked about the nutrients that you'll find in 3 sprigs of parsley. Way more vitamin A than you would get from a plate of carrots. Equivalent vitamin C that you would get from an entire orange. More calcium than you'll get from a bowl of spinach. So when we iron, that is, iron, than you get from a bowl of spinach. So it also freshens the breath. So what I did was I pre-washed these, rinsed them basically. When you're buying organic fruits and vegetables, you don't want to like purge them with water. Just rinse them gently. So we have cilantro and we have fresh parsley. This is just going to add a lot of good flavor. Again, natural aroma to your foods. You just want to kind of use as much of your ingredients as well. And what I mean by that is the stems. Just kind of dice them up, chop them up very fine, and throw them into the salad, because the stems are where the nutrients from good soil is able to migrate up through the plant itself or the herb itself. And you want to include that in your foods. So I'm going to sit this right back into the container. Just wanted to get the chopping out of the way. But we're going to put it back into the small container here, because after we put the salad together, that's when you want to throw the fresh herbs on top. Just because you don't want to really smother the aroma that much under the beets and carrots and the other things that we're going to use. We're going to do the same thing with some cherry tomatoes. Again, we have some organic tomatoes here. All we're going to do is half them. And so you can take 2 or 3 at a time, run your knife across them, and then I'm going to show you another trick. That's why I wanted to get these out of the way quickly. So we're just dicing our red cherry tomatoes. And so I call out red, and we understand that all foods have color characteristics associated with them. And so red foods are arterial stimulants. So if we have some problems with our blood not freely moving, if you're somebody that's taking diuretics or you're someone that's taking blood thinners, then here's your answer in the natural sense. Just to get red foods so that we can move that blood along naturally. So cherry tomatoes also, vitamin A, vitamin C. And so what you want to do is, you may not be able to necessarily remember all of the minerals and vitamins associated with various foods. So the trick of the trade is to try to get into a habit where you do eat a salad every day. And as you can see by just looking at the table here, is that our salad has almost every color of the rainbow in it. So here's the trick. We take our cherry tomatoes and we place them into a bowl. Now here's where I have my superfoods. In this container I have Italian herbs. Italian herbs have huge medicinal properties associated with it. Again, you have parsley, thyme, oregano. So we have that mixed in, and then more importantly, we have nutritional yeast. Yeast has been around since the beginning of time. I think it's one of the foremost superfoods. So what we're going to do is we're going to sprinkle this mixture. It not only has nutritional yeast and Italian herbs in it, it has a little cayenne pepper, paprika, cumin, maybe a tad bit of turmeric, and chia seeds. So now we've sprinkled the tomatoes, the cherry tomatoes. Then what we're going to do is douse it with olive oil. So instead of putting all of these ingredients onto our salad at the conclusion, we're just going to let our cherry tomatoes marinate in that for about 10 minutes or so. And then at the end, we'll throw this on top of the salad, and then that way the taste kind of comes through more because it's been marinating with that. Now what we're going to do is take our heavier foods again. So red cabbage. You know that the old cabbage diet way back in the day was so beneficial for us because of the amount of good bacteria. So people often ask me whether or not they should take acidophilus or some other type of probiotic. And I always say that you want the bacteria that your body is accustomed to, that your body produces. And the good way to do that is to get something that's going to activate that, so to speak, or be a catalyst for it. And that would be cabbage. The natural bacteria that it's able to activate in the body is amazing. Now, you have purple cabbage here. You know that you also have green cabbage. And so what's the difference? You have purple cauliflower out now. You have orange cauliflower. The difference is that the darker the color, the more nutrients you have. So keep that in mind. So you want to kind of stick with some of the darker colored foods. Not go with too much. Yeah, we can use some more cabbage here. And again, when possible, just spend the extra pennies and get organic. That way you know that the food hasn't been sprayed. Typically, your insects are crawling more on sweet foods. But something like cabbage, when it's only a couple of cents more than conventional cabbage, and you know that you're going to be trying to eat the outer leaves because that's where the majority of the nutrients are, then go ahead and spend the extra money. You can take some of the larger cabbage leaves and make a pate and use that as a wrap. But again, you know, I had the whole cabbage head. It took less than a couple of seconds to chop it in half. And then you do the same thing coming down. Now celery. We talk about the importance of celery in terms of the mineral sodium. Natural sodium. Why is sodium so important? Because sodium is that fluid that you'll find on the outside of your cellular structure. It's the extracellular fluid, helping to keep the body in balance. And so we want to always make sure that we get a good amount of sodium. And the best natural organic sodium source, organic in the sense of having the adequate amount of nitrogen, hydrogen, and oxygen, comes from celery. I mentioned before in one of the previous shows, if you're having pain in the body and you find that the pain is relegated to the left-hand side of the body and not the right-hand side of the body, then more than likely it's a sodium deficiency. When you have high blood pressure, a lot of times the systolic number is high. You can take 4 ounces of celery juice and that number will come down 10 points in like 2 minutes. So that tells you a lot about that. So then we have the yellow corn. I'll buy the organic frozen corn and simply take it out the night before, put it in the refrigerator and let it thaw out naturally, or you can run hot water on it. Yellow corn is what color? It's yellow. Therefore, it's a natural laxative food. We look at yellow foods as foods that will help to move the bowels easily. I have to find some better way to say that. Then again, the color code here. So we're having kale, which has a ton of calcium, iron, vitamin A, and C. Lots of good minerals in here. And so this one happens to be purple kale. It's already cleaned. I just rinsed it a bit. It too is organic. Don't throw away the stems. Same thing as I said a second ago. A lot of the nutrients are in the stems. Just go back and chop the stems very finely. I think we're going to sit this over on the left-hand side of the container, where we'll put our greens for the most part. Then we have sunflower and pumpkin seeds. Sunflower seeds are actually considered to be a yellow food, coming from the yellow sunflower itself, therefore natural laxative. Pumpkin seeds coming from the orange pumpkin. Orange foods are good for the skin, but the minerals, the natural fat that you find, the protein in pumpkin and sunflower seeds is huge in terms of just keeping us well. Nuts and seeds and grains, definitely, as well as your seeds. Then you want something sweet in your salad. So we're simply going to add some dried cranberries and some yellow raisins. And we also have some Thompson's Fire Flame brown raisins. And so just kind of mix this up. Again, we're going to throw it all into, I call it the salad lasagna bowl. And then most important, not most important, but I tend to stress that you should try and have carrots, beets, and celery every single day. what the beets do for the iron, for the blood. When you think beets, think blood, think kidneys. Huge. But you notice we've got organic beets here. The most important thing going on here are the beet tops. So you don't want to throw them away. That becomes your chard on a regular basis. And I'll show you another trick with the beets. So what we're going to do is just chop off the top. So we have beet greens, basically. And you want to chop and dice these up as well. And again, just doing a little extra chopping for the stems. Come around the side, chop up again. All the aroma, this is healing. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take off the bottom piece of the beets. We're going to hold it by the stem. This is a quick way to do it. One of the other ways that we can do it is we can simply dice these up and throw them into a shredder. But this is a quick and easy way to just shred some beets. You simply take the potato peeler, and I kept a piece of the stem on just so that you can have something to hold on to so that you can cut as much of the beet as possible. When you're holding the beet and you have the potato peeler, you kind of have to really pay attention to your fingers. Been there, done that. And then beets, look at this color. Not necessarily a red, but a burgundy. And when you start dealing with the burgundy, like your eggplant, you're dealing more with kidney foods. So people that have had problems, that their doctors have threatened that they're going to be going on to dialysis, they've even had the stents put in, I've put them onto a beet juice regimen just for a couple of weeks. Tremendous difference. Enough to hold that off. The problem is that people do well. They get themselves into a position where they don't need to, where they no longer require something, and then they just kind of go back to their old ways, and they find themselves in the same situation again. So beets are very potent. A very good thing for you to do if you're having problems with your kidneys is to take some fresh beets and juice them. And take 2 ounces of beet juice. Drink 2 ounces every hour for an entire waking day, a couple of days in a row. So at that point, you're getting no more than about 18 to 24 ounces of beet juice in. See, that way we got almost the entire beet. And then you can go back and chop some of that if you want to. Beets are really sweet. You've seen people roast them and do really cool things with them. Again, you can shred these in a food processor, and then that way you'll have something that looks more like a toothpick. We're going to go ahead and do both of these since we already have it out. Do you see how easy that is? So it's all about simplicity. I mean, I am one that has a ridiculously busy schedule. But you can find that there are times when I had the car accident recently and my back had a low back strain, a cervical strain in my neck. I knew that I was going to get better quicker by not taking the muscle relaxers, the ibuprofen, and the painkillers, and just get myself to a green multicolored salad. Because as I'm slicing and dicing here, the natural ability for combating inflammation, pain, high blood pressure, all the things that come along with the trauma is right here in a nutshell. Everything that naturally comes from the earth will heal the body of trauma and tissue damage quicker than anything else. Not even quicker, but just unlike anything else. So you do that. As you see, I am a stickler for not wasting things. So you want to get as much of your beet in there as possible. And then we'll toss these in. We're almost done, and we've only been going about 20 minutes here. And that's because I'm just trying to give you some information. If I wasn't talking, we'd move along even faster. As you can begin to see over there all the colors, but I wish you were here to be able to smell. Now the same thing as the beets. What's the most important thing here are the carrot tops. Not the most important thing, but not to neglect the nutrients that you're going to get in the carrot tops. Often I see people, well, first of all, most people will just buy the loose carrots. And if they buy the carrots with the carrot tops, sometimes they'll even break them off and toss them in the store. And I go, ooh, one of the best things that you can do for keeping the body well during the winter time to combat the germs and bacteria that you find a little more prevalent is to take beets and beet tops, carrots and carrot tops, the potato peelings more so than the potato itself, and some onion, and make a broth. So you want to put this over on the side with the greens in the salad. And then we're going to do the same thing for our carrots. You'd be surprised at what 3 carrots can do for you. So we're going to sit those there and just chop off the tops here. Again, they've already been rinsed. Put the tops and the bottoms here. Take our peeler and do the same thing. Hold it from the smaller end so that you can get more. And again, this can be done if you want more uniformity to the carrots and the beets in terms of appearance. You can always throw them into a food processor. I have a large food processor, so I just kind of hate taking it down and putting it up again. So we're just going to use our potato peeler, which you can see you can go as fast as you want. You just have to be careful when your fingers get caught up into the top piece. So carrots, orange in color. Orange means excellent for the skin, but more importantly, when we think of carrots, we think of the beta carotene, obviously, but as we talked about the sodium being for the extracellular fluid, then the potassium that you find in carrots is huge for the intracellular fluid. Again, it's all about living and dying at the cellular structure, so making sure that we maintain a great balance with the fluid on the inside and outside, the intracellular and extracellular fluid of the cells, making sure that they're getting adequate amounts of potassium and sodium. And so you get that perfect combination. Earlier we talked about if there's pain in the body and that pain is relegated to the left-hand side of the body, 9 out of 10, it's a sodium deficiency, and a couple of ounces of celery juice will basically rectify the situation. Well, the same thing applies for the right-hand side of the body. If there's pain that's relegated just to the right-hand side of the body, then chances are it's a potassium deficiency. And having some fresh carrot juice will go a long way in terms of changing that. And then when you talk about the systolic number, which is controlled pretty much by potassium, then you can drink 4 ounces of potassium juice when the blood pressure is high to bring that into balance relatively quickly. Within, we're talking a couple of minutes, dropping that point down. So just with 3 carrots, we have quite a bit to throw in here. I think we're, blocking in and out there. We'll see how this comes out, but for the most part, we're on track here. So we're going to dump our shredded carrots into the salad batch. And now we have some watercress here. In terms of nutrients, it doesn't get any better, and I wanted to kind of rinse this off for you ahead of time, but wanted you to see that this is when you call live food. This is as live as it gets. So it's still basically growing there. So we're going to just cut off the soil piece there. Hold on to as much of the rest. We're going to chop it up. And again, this is a part of our mixed salad greens. And when you talk about taste and flavor, I mean, whether it's beet tops or carrot tops, watercress, they're all about the same. They just taste green. That's why you add the cilantro and parsley. Super salad, we're going to add this on the top, as a matter of fact. Then we want to add ripe olives. Talk about taste and flavor. That really does it. We're going to do the same thing we did with the cherry tomatoes. Just kind of slice them in half. Calamante olives come with a lot of punch, so you don't want to overwhelm the person that's eating with a big old olive. So you just kind of dice it up because you really don't need to use as many. So now you're getting down to your ancillary ingredients here, which obviously don't come in the volume that our greens and our beets and things come. So you just need a few just to give a little more flavor to your salad without overdoing it. And I think we have just about gotten ourselves real cool here in less than 30 minutes. How about that? Just throw a salad together in less than 30 minutes. I mean, that's what I call fast food. Show me how you can go to a fast food restaurant, you know, your McDonald's and places like that, and get a really cool meal to your specifications in less than 30 minutes. It's going to take that long just to get into the car. The travel time there and back is probably less than that. So here we have it. Have some chopped up onions. The only other thing we have to cut is a topping that we're going to use, and that's going to be the avocado. So I have the knife. It's going to slice this up for you for people that don't know how to get into an avocado. There's a big huge seed in the middle. So you simply take the knife and press against the seed, and then you pull it open. If it's ripe, and you know it's ripe because you can see the finger indentations when you press against it. And then more importantly, it's really easy just to pull the skin off in 2 seconds. It almost comes perfectly whole. You lay it down on its flat side. You pull the seed out of the other side. You do the same thing, pull back the skin. Very easy to do when the avocado is ripe. You should not be eating an avocado if it's not ripe. And then what we easily do here is we just slice it. This way it makes it feel like you're having a chicken salad or something. You know, it gives you that texture of chicken. No, avocado doesn't taste like chicken. When we talk about simulating foods, we're always talking about the texture. How does it feel on the tongue? So now we have sliced avocado. That's going to be a part of our toppings. Let me explain this. So these are nuts. Again, nuts are huge in terms of the nutrients that they give you, minerals and vitamins and fat. So we have pecans, which are the shape of the lung and the brain. Very good for the lung and the brains. And then we have, those are walnuts. And we have pecans. And then you sprinkle it with cinnamon. Cinnamon is the equivalent to cayenne pepper in the holistic community in terms of opening the arteries. You've often heard me say, if you feel like you're having a heart attack or a stroke, what you want to do is put a little cayenne pepper under your tongue and open up that blockage that is preventing the blood from getting to the heart or the brain. And so cinnamon pretty much does the same thing. We've also added some raw honey. Raw honey is very good. It does a lot of healing for the body, for inflammation and a lot of other things. So we have this that we're going to put on top of the salad. We talked about the sprouts. You want to always be growing sprouts in your home. Alfalfa sprouts, broccoli sprouts, bean sprouts. Usually I'll have some chickpeas that I'll sprout and toss them on top of the salad. Sprouts will keep you young. They will maintain your vitality and longevity for sure. So we have sprouts that we're going to add to the top. And then finally, we have here baby kale. So we have baby kale, we have our beet tops, our carrot tops, the watercress, and also something else green that we put in there. I can't remember. And so that's it. All I'm going to do is move some of these other things out of the way so that you can see how we're going to just kind of put this all together. See how easy that was? And you notice that we don't have any processed salad here. The other thing here, very important. Now, when we talk about life and sickness and illness, we talk about the fact that we're born with a lot of RNA and DNA. Once you pass 30 years old, some people say 30, some people say 40, you begin to lose a lot of that. And there's certain things that you can do to kind of like turn it around. Seaweed is at the top of that list. Consuming fresh fruits and vegetables is on that list for sure. Regular exercise, especially things that involve the core of the body, walking, yoga, stretching, meditation, all of these go hand in hand with the fruits and the vegetables. The seaweed is on a level by itself. So when you start talking about sea vegetables, anything that comes from the sea. I always tell people if I'm stuck on an island and I had to have 1 or 2 items, it would be spirulina, bee pollen, and sea moss. So the spirulina and the sea moss, 2 of the 3 things that I would want if I had to be stranded somewhere, come from the sea. Life comes from the sea. All of our iodine, silicon, a lot of magnesium, all of that comes from the sea. And so you always want to be mindful of that and include that in your food. So what we're doing, I'm just taking all of the main ingredients. See the color? We don't have it up there, that salad picture that came. It's the color that you want. So when we're getting almost every color, yellow, red, purple, green, orange, we know that we're getting a lot of minerals and vitamins. I did not bring the peppers. I looked at the thing and I remembered the peppers are not here. And so you have sweet peppers, red, yellow, and orange peppers. Yes, they add a little flavor to it, but more importantly, the medicinal properties associated with those is huge. So now I'm just going to start sprinkling in or mixing the 2 together. I'm going to do that with a hand tossing here. Wash my hands just before we started the show. And so you just kind of mix everything in. Now you almost have enough greens from the carrot and beet tops. And I did put some red kale in here. Basically just mix it all together. Now here's a trick. So we have obviously enough salad here to feed a family. And since I'm single, I don't need to have all of this at one time. So if I want to just kind of consume it over a 2-day period or so, you'll mix what I call your base ingredients. And then when you're ready to partake, you're going to do a simple thing here, and I'm going to do that in just a second after I mix this all in. And that's going to involve the seaweed, the avocado, the tomatoes, all of the things that tend to weigh a salad down. When you say you had a salad and it was wilted or something like that, well, the ingredients that we have here will be just fine. And what we want to do now, isn't that gorgeous? And if you could just smell it, you would be really impressed. So we're going to try to making a mess here in the studio. So what we're going to do is put a little bit of sea salt. And when you say a little bit and you think about all of the greens that are in here, just a tad bit here, pink Himalaya sea salt. That's all. That's going to act as a natural preservative so that we can put this away and consume it over the next 2 or 3 days. Then the other things, you want to just kind of add them to the salad that you're going to do. And that would be our balsamic vinaigrette. So we're getting the vinaigrette fermented. That's always good. Apple cider vinegar keeps the blood pressure down, does a multiplicity of things. Why? Fermented apples. And also on that list, along with seaweed, would be fermented foods. So the more sauerkraut that you can have, oh, you're doing the body really good in terms of the RNA and DNA. And then we have olive oil. Always want to get olive oil, and it lubricates the joints and it keeps us moving. So you want to do that. All of that we're going to put onto our bowl salad. So that's pretty much what our salad looks like. And again, we're just making excellent time here. So now we're actually going to put together a serving of salad. So we have our little salad bowl that has the grooves here. So what you could have also had done was taken some garlic, and we'll do that since we have an extra minute. And take some fresh garlic. You can also use ginger. Ginger has excellent medicinal properties, especially for the gastrointestinal system. And you can put that on there. So when you use these types of bowls that are for that, you want to have a tad bit of water or a tad bit of oil before you take the piece and you just kind of scrape it there. Okay? So you see, voila, the entire piece of garlic has disappeared. And now it's going to be in your salad. So we're going to make a salad for the producer and engineer here. So we take some greens for a base. I'm probably going to just put some of this over there as well. We take some greens for a base. And then, how do we want to do this? Where's my little gadget here? So we'll just take some salad. quite a bit here. Put it in. Then we sprinkle our seaweed on. I never put the seaweed in the major section because seaweed that's dried like this is dried. It's a little tough to chew, but it really isn't a problem in the scheme of things. And so once you put it onto your salad, mixed with the juices of, that's one of the reasons we want to eat dark leafy greens and so many other vegetables, is because of the water content that's already there. That's going to begin to soften it. So some of it will end up being soft by the time we eat it, and some of it will still have some crunch to it. And we always want some crunch. That's the problem. People feel like they have to be chewing and crunching on something. We're going to add a few sprouts to this. We're going to put a couple of those tomatoes, quite a few of those tomatoes that have all of that seasoning stuff added to it. We're going to add some olives. We're actually going to toss the olives in there as well, but we're going to just specifically put some here. And then we're going to take some of our parsley and cilantro. We're also going to throw that over there in a second here. And then that way, the real freshness, the rawness of it, feeling like you just chopped it, you can enjoy every day. So these things that your toppings, you can kind of put them on the side in the refrigerator and then have your regular batch there, and then always separate your greens so that when you're ready to eat it, you can put together, and it's only going to take a second. Before we put the nuts on top, we're just going to add, it's all about fat, acid, sweet, and sour. When you're making recipes, so you always want to have something sweet, so we're adding a tad bit of raw honey, which is literally nothing when you think about the amount of greens that are in this, the whole scheme of things. Really missing the fact that I forgot to bring the peppers. Then we take some apple cider vinegar. We're right at the bottom here. This way we're doing our own. I'm going to just kind of douse that there. Down at the bottom there. And then I always add some balsamic vinaigrette. See, these are things that you just have ready on the kitchen shelf. So you just add those to the particular salad that you're doing at that time. A tablespoon or two of olive oil is what you want to be consuming on a daily basis. And for this much salad, about a tablespoon or two just kind of helps to get things going. Then you take your little choppy thing and just let everything marinate together. Down with the greens that you placed on the bottom. You can smell the balsamic vinaigrette. I mean, who wouldn't want to eat this? Even people that are like serious carnivores and don't want to do anything but eat meat, potatoes, and steak around the clock. When they see the salad, they smell the salad, they'll eat the salad. Then we also add the avocado in. The avocado is the last thing that you want to put on. Usually I'll kind of like just put the avocado on top. Add the cherry tomatoes on top. And then we want to add a few of the pecans, walnuts, and almonds. It's getting ready to be yum time, and we still have 15 minutes. So we're going to, I think we've added everything that we need to add there. And whole grain. So this is some really good bread here. It's got, again, seeds in it. It's got your omegas. It's got total good stuff. It's called, I think, better bread or good bread or something. But you can see the pumpkin seeds, sunflower seeds, flax seeds, whole grains, fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds. I mean, this is life. This is health. This is health prevention. This is maintenance. This is everything that you need. And then what I'll do is I'll take a little olive oil, sprinkle it on the bread, have a piece. I'll sit down. I'll take my fork, and I'm good. I am so good. And when you eat this, you really don't want anything else. You might want to put a little bit more. I have cayenne pepper, nutritional yeast, the B12, the folic acid, the niacin, these again are things that really help to repair and regrow that RNA, DNA that we start losing at an older age. All of that's mixed in here with some chia seeds. Paprika is really good for the heart. Again, a red food, but specifically does a lot of good stuff for the heart. So just kind of keep it in a container, and you can sprinkle a little more on the top. It just gives the salad a really good flavor. Put a tad bit more olive oil over top of that, and you're so good. You're so good. We should just have a salad party. And so that's that. We're going to finally go to a commercial break, and we're going to come back in probably a minute or two and just kind of show you how cleanup is easy too and wrap things up real quick for you, okay? All right, thank you. Hey guys, so was that fun or not? I just, like I said earlier in the preview, Dallas spelled backwards, Dallas, is salad without the with an extra L for lettuce. It's so weird. I thought about that, or I saw it, or I noticed it a few years ago, and I was like, because I don't think that I enjoy anything as much as I enjoy salad. So, as you're going into the holidays, we want to make sure that we're incorporating some type of dark leafy greens. I mean, something like this for the vegan, the vegetarian that's coming to dinner. They will feel so pleased with you. If I came to dinner and someone sat this in front of me, I would just be like loving you. I mean, it does everything. And you'd be surprised at how many other people would want to indulge in that as well. But whether we're trying to just kind of balance things out for all the damage that we do during the holidays, we're just trying to maintain our vitality. We talk about longevity. We talk about foods that promote longevity, foods that promote health and well-being and just your brain working and functioning, your skin, all of these things, the seaweed, the beets, all these things are great for, getting the silicone that we need for healthy skin and hair and our nails, all the things that we spend so much money at the cosmetologist, the other places that people go, I don't even know. We can get all of that simply by eating like this. And it's not to say if you wanted to have a double cheeseburger that you made at home with some nice organic grass-fed beef or, some good organic cheese or whatever, just start doing things in a cleaner way. All of those things are perfectly permissible. The thing is that we want to also incorporate this. And so I don't tell people so much that you shouldn't eat meat, you shouldn't do this, or you shouldn't do that, as much as I say that you need to do this and that. You need to add some dark green leafy vegetables. You need to add a multiplicity of colors from whole, natural, pure foods. This will take care. If you were ill and in the hospital, no matter what your condition, if I had you for 3 days and I just fed you this, along with the juices that comes from. Just put this down into a blender along with the beet tops and the carrot tops. The carrots and the beets themselves. Some fresh lemon, maybe some ginger. Definitely throw a couple of pieces of garlic in there. Just have you consuming those whole natural raw juices along with the salad. You will be well. for sure. Throw some seaweed in. It's just it's no question to it. You're just going to get well, and you'll get well, and you'll probably be better than you were before. And it just helps us along the way. We can get away with a lot of damage when we're young. Not anymore, though, because some of the other things that are being added to the foods are just killing us. Just killing us. And so this way we bring life back to ourselves, to our loved ones that have to care for us when we're not well. It helps us with our finances because we're not taking time off work. We're able to think clearly, therefore we manage our money better because we're making better decisions because, you know, there's clarity, so there's a better level of discernment going on. Oils, the added superfoods, the raw honey, the olive oil, the balsamic vinaigrette, the apple cider vinegar. These are things that you want to just do naturally. When you start looking at the sodium content, the processed dressings that are on the market, it totally just negates eating a good, healthy salad. You know, salad dressings with ranch, mayonnaise, and all of this. No. And then this way, you're able to begin to appreciate natural whole foods because the natural flavors come through better. You can add a tad bit of sea salt. You don't need a lot because a lot of the vegetables with the mineral content that they have, you'll get enough of that kind of tasty thing that you're looking for, spicy pike. And then always, these are foods. They're just superfoods. They don't look like whole pure foods like this, but these are superfoods. Nutritional yeast is at the top of the list. We use nutritional yeast for our popcorn, which are our corporate sponsors of the show, True Pop Popcorn. The thing that makes it so great is that the nutritional yeast makes it taste like it has cheese on it, with it being a vegan product. But more importantly than the fact that it gives it a strong cheesy flavor, it's for its namesake, nutritional yeast. It's the nutrient content, nutrient dense. All of your B vitamins, especially B12, which is very difficult to get from foods. Basically, margarine, that's about it. And yeast. So you have the B vitamins, the folic acid, and the niacin. Niacin helps to keep that blood clean and flowing the way that it should. So you have the nutritional yeast as a superfood. The chia seeds, definitely you want to add those in with all of the different things that they do for you. And then the pepper, the cayenne pepper, an arterial stimulant. It keeps that blood flowing. It comes from the capsicum plant. So good for you again. So then your nuts, nuts are great. You can take the nuts. We can take the nuts and soak and sprout them overnight. Soak them overnight and allow them to sit and sprout a couple of days. Throw them into a food processor, and then you have like a nut base. And then you can simply add chopped celery, peppers, a little olive oil, a little sea salt, and the fresh herbs, the cilantro and parsley. And you have a walnut pate, an almond pate, any kind of sunflower pate, whatever kind of nut that you want it to use. And it has a flavor. It's like eating tuna fish or salad or something. But it's so much better tasting and so much better for you. And so those are things that you can do. You can put them on the whole grain bread here, or you can get some brown rice flour crackers. So there are a lot of things that you can do. People, say, well, when you tell them that you don't eat meat, they would be like, well, what do you eat? Or they want some real food. And I just always kind of shudder when I hear that in 2019, because there's so much information out there on the information highways that just reiterate everything I've talked about for the last hour in terms of just the health that's associated with this. And then what you do, it's all about the 21st century. So this is what we do. We pack these. And so now we have salad toppings, and all we need to do is have a large bowl and put some green base in there, and then add our tomatoes and our nuts and sprinkle some seaweed on it if we want it crunchy. If you don't want your seaweed crunchy, and you want it to be more like the little shriveled out thing that it becomes after it's gotten wet, then you can do that now. But I leave the seaweed on the side and just put a few tablespoons on top of the individual salads. Let it maintain some crunch to it. and add my tomatoes and cilantro and then my nuts on top, and then just put in a tablespoon or two of olive oil, some apple cider vinegar. You can use lemon and some dried Italian herbs. You can use the balsamic vinaigrette or not. Those things become up to you in terms of what you like. You might want to have like a curry topping on yours. But just talking about simplicity. So when you talk about fast food, to be able to make a salad that literally could feed an entire family of 4 for dinner, and for them to be able to take some to work the next day for lunch. This is it. You'll have those cranberries and the raisins in here that also add some sweetness to it. You can also take some dates and chop them up into bite-sized pieces and throw those in. Some figs. Figs and dates are huge in terms of just keeping the colon clean and moving. The little seeds that you find in Turkish figs and black mission figs are yellow in color, so they become natural laxatives, and they're just good for clearing out parasites that we run into from consuming so much acid-forming foods that just tends to stay in the body. And so we have these containers, and though I'm filling the container, I mean, each container is definitely enough for 2 salads. So when you start talking about fast food, economical, I mean, it's just, and you may spend $30 going and getting all of the organic ingredients, and you come out like that, you can't go anywhere and spend less than $20 at a halfway decent restaurant and get something that's only going to get you 1 meal. So in terms of just well-being, not just well-being for your physical body, but for your pocketbook as well. So these are just some tips for you. And as we are moving into the Thanksgiving season and coming very quickly on Christmas and very quickly on the conclusion of another decade, what are you going to be going into 2020 with? Are we going to be taking the same baggage? Are we going to be taking the same drama, the same problems from the last 10 years as we move forward? Now, one thing is for sure. I don't know whatever else is going on in your life, but we are all getting closer to the end than not. And so when you think about the turn of this decade, where you were, where you are now, and where you'd like to be. In 10 years, I'll be 65. I want to feel good. I want to be able to still move my body and be able to do the things I want to do physically. I want my brain to be working. And so I'm going to continue to consume foods like this. I'm going to continue to exercise. And the more of these type of foods that you consume, the healthier your legs will be able to move more. Your body will be able to move more. So I hope I'm speaking to someone and making a lot of sense. And I just want to remind us that though we're going into a holiday, that every day we ought to be thankful. Thankful for the fact that you can get a ton of holistic wellness information that literally can change your life. Thankful for the things that we do have, rather than focusing on those things that we desire to have that we don't quite have. Thankful for the fact that we can eat foods that will allow our brains to give us the diligence, the aggressiveness, the courage to move forward and make a difference. I have some huge plans for this upcoming decade. I imagine some great things. We ultimately want to have a retreat center that when you don't eat your salads and you eat too much of that Thanksgiving food and no green salads at all, then we'll have a place where you can come in all sick and tired and put you into a room, whether it be for a weekend or 2 or 3 weeks. And not only will we feed you well, but we will educate you so that when you leave, you will be empowered to be able to implement the things that you gained or experienced at our retreat center for the rest of your life. I have a personal crusade that I want to go and speak across the country in terms of educating, empowering, equipping people to be able to be more offensive against this war on the big three: obesity, diabetes, and heart disease and cancer, wiping out our communities simply because we're not eating the right foods, we're not doing the right things. So I'm looking forward to doing a lot of things in the upcoming decade, and I want to continue to have the energy and to be able to feel good and passionate and compassionate about what I'm doing. Therefore, I'm going to continue to do these kinds of things. And if you need any personal help in achieving your goals to be able to get to that point, then we are available to work with you one-on-one. We're available to come to your church, your organization, your fraternity, sorority, your family reunion, anything. You simply go to lifebydallas.com, and our number is 240-200-9793. And you can always reach me, Dallas, at lifebydallas.com. You're listening to Ask Dr. Dallas. Make sure that you go to our YouTube channel, Ask Dr. Dallas, and you can see this video and many more. Thank you for joining us. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving, a healthy Thanksgiving.